Global happenings today. We communicate, we analyze global news. Stay tuned. Hello guys, welcome to Global Happenings today. We have a trending news here for you, and the headline of the news reads: Herdsmen shock Makinde and his lawmakers with this action. But before we go on with details of the news and further analysis, we'd like to encourage you to please subscribe to our channel by clicking on the red subscribe button and also on the bell icon so that you can get notification anytime we publish our videos on YouTube. All right, let's listen to the news in detail.
Cattle herders in Oyo State, under the aegis of Gan Allah Fulani Development Association of Nigeria, has dragged the state government and the State House of Assembly to court in protest against the state anti-grazing law. Also joining the suit was the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in the state. The bill, which was recently signed into law by the state government, aimed at checking persistent clashes between the farmers and herders in the state. But the herders in Oyo State described the new law as gross violation of their fundamental rights. In a suit marked M/744/2019, they asked the court to declare the new law as illegal, null, and void. They urged that the court to grant them an order of perpetual injunction restraining all the respondents, whether by themselves, their servants, agents, officers, or otherwise, from carrying out any act or omission which is likely to aid the enactment of the anti-grazing bill into law, as this would amount to denial of the fundamental rights guaranteed under the Constitution of Nigeria. They also prayed that the court to declare the law as a coordinated attempt to hinder their means of livelihood against Section 33, Subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. They asked the court to grant them 100,000 naira against the respondents jointly and severally for the violation of their fundamental rights. The header said, as a matter of cultural heritage, open grazing or grazing of livestock having been passed on to generations, it is the life and economy of the Fulani group on which the Fulani survives. The open grazing bill, which was mounted on October 2019, prohibits open grazing of livestock in Oyo State.
All right, thank you very much. And there had been a lot of reactions by so many persons, as most people believe that their rights actually are not being trampled upon. In October 2019, the Oyo State governor and also the lawmakers came up with a bill, and that bill was to, number one, protect the people of the state and against the issue of continuous clashes between the farmers and the herders. And one of the most important thing there is that they are not stopping them from grazing, but they are regulating the activities of the herdsmen in the state. And to them, it's not comfortable enough, and that's why they've decided to go to court. But we are looking at the possibility of them selling through, the possibility of them, coming out smoking at the end of the day, coming out successful at the end of the day. And that's what we're going to be talking about in a jiffy. For me personally, looking at the anti-grazing law that have been put in place, I can't say that it's a violation of their fundamental human right. The reason is, number one, before this law is being put in place, it's meant to checkmate the activities of herders in the communities in Oyo State. The reason being that, number one, their own business kind of work against the businesses of other persons, especially those who are farmers. We've had cases of the herders influence or the herders activity in other states of the Federation. For example, if you go to Benue State, they are known to be the food basket of Nigeria. And when they went in there, it was quite a horrific sight. If you see most of the major farms, when they enter, they eat up, allow their cattle to eat up everything from the farm. And when the people started reacting and kind of trying to talk them into accepting the fact that it's wrong for them to go into their farms, it ended up in a quarrel, and before we know, weapons were being used. It was a horrific sight. If you see how the way they killed Benue indigene, it was not a comfortable thing to see. So I think on the basis of what had transpired in some of the states, like Benue State, in Enugu State, in other states of the Federation, I think that was what it really engineered, or what really pushed these guys to say, hey, let's put a law in place that before you come to function in our state, number one, you must be fully registered with the ministry, and I think Ministry of Agriculture. We must know that you are in place, and that there is have an ID card, and there is nothing like open grazing, because it has caused a lot of issue. I don't think that in Nigeria businesses are not regulated. There is no place you go to and they say businesses are not regulated, because number one, when you go to that man sitting there, as I'm talking about Makinde, he is the chief security officer of the state. If anything goes wrong with security of the state, he's the one to be held responsible. Yes. So he has the right to say, oh, this is how things must be done in my state. I'm not saying you guys shouldn't come in. And that's one of the things that must be, must be taken note of. Every Nigerian have the right to live in any part of Nigeria. But when you walk into the state, you must learn to obey the rules and regulations of the state in respect to anything. If they said, for example, this street, we do not want anybody to build residential houses. Oh, in this state, it's strictly for the mechanics, and you now come in trying to do any other business there, and they tell you to stop, and you say they are, warring against your fundamental human right. You're not saying enough. You're not law abiding, exactly, because they're not telling you don't operate here. But the only thing is that we are regulating everyone. If you come into the state, we are the owner of the state, and I, as the chief executive officer, I will tell you what to do. No rights have been trampled upon. So looking at this case already, for me, it is
dead on arrival.
It's dead on arrival. This case, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think that they have any grounds to win this case, except maybe the federal might may come into play here. But outside that, no matter who is going to, preside over this case, automatically it cannot see the light of the day. Even if they appeal it or go to extra this thing, it cannot work, because these are just the ideal things that must be in every state. If you go to other states of Nigeria, some of them huge taxation. It's very huge. You cannot walk in there and say, we are not going to pay huge taxation, this and that. Whether it is a culture for the Fulanis to go around with their cows into all nooks and crannies of the world, but for our own state, this is how we want things to be done, and you must abide by it. We are not trying to trample, because it is not that that is cattle rearing must be done anyhow. As far as it is carried out by the Fulanis, there is no story like that, and I think that's where they have failed.
Well, for me, it's a case of trying to use power. Maybe they feel that their persons are already in the helms of affair. Let's critically analyze this. Makinde and the State House of Assembly did not say that they cannot wreck house. They did not stop them from entering Oyo State. They're only saying, in this state, this is how we want it done. No open grazing. You can just imagine what they say. Because their forefathers have passed on open grazing, and the fact that they must move around, therefore, it is their right that everywhere they go in Nigeria, they must move. Have you seen the mentality? And that's where they're getting it all wrong. They now feel that it's their fundamental right that everywhere they go, any part of Nigeria they go to, they must do open grazing, their cow eat people's farmlands, destroy people's farmlands, and it becomes their right. How do you want us to feed our cow It's not through people's farmland. Forgetting that agriculture in itself is a mainstream economy. It's an economy that brings regular source of income for some set of people. How would they feel if wherever they go, people keep slaughtering their cows? As in, practically slaughter their cows. They will feel cheated, they feel marginalized. That's the same thing. And now they have decided to put law into this order. Say, look, let's not look as if we're just talking and say we are bluffing. The Oyo State have decided to put law, and they have heard the cry of their people. They have listened to the voice of the indigenes of Oyo State, and they have said, okay, let's do it this way so that everyone is happy, no one is feel marginalized. You can come in with your cow, but this is how you're going to do it. If you know you're not comfortable with the rule of law in Oyo State, you can kindly move on to the next states.
Of course.
Where it is allowed, where it is permissive. But in Oyo, this is how it's going to be done. If you don't like it, you move on. Now you are questioning the law of the land. That why should it be so? Because you are the number one citizen of Nigeria. Others are subordinates. Others came to watch you. That somebody in his own land cannot farm in peace. That he must always be watching his back because a Hausa Fulani man is bringing his cow that is not even an indigene of that state. I'm not saying it is not allowed for them to come in. I'm only saying if they say open grazing is not allowed, then it should be honored. And now you are questioning, you're even taking the government and the House of Assembly that unanimously all of them have agreed to not to allow open grazing. You're not taking them to court. Except, like my colleague said, the federal, even if when the federal might comes in, they may need to bring in good reasons, because they're not saying they shouldn't do grazing, but they say don't do open grazing because of so many repercussions that follow open grazing. If federal might comes in, that is where another rule of law is being trampled upon again, if you ask me here.
All right, thank you very much. Don't also forget that before a bill is passed into law, that there's always room for public hearing, and public hearing was actually held, which critical reviews and opinion of all concerned stakeholders, individual groups and experts were accommodated and considered before the bill was passed into law. And I could still remember that the speaker did assure the people that all suggestions and memorandum of understanding submitted by those various groups, agencies, representatives of different communities and tribes on the Open Grazing and Grazing Regulation Bill 2019 was painstakingly looked into before it was passed into law. So actually, it was meant for the good of the people, whether it was indigents or visitors to the land. The only thing is that we do not want issues. We don't want record of your state being known to be against any set of people. So let's just put this in place and see how we can regulate everything and stop any problem that may come up. I think that's perfect for me. It's absolutely perfect. So I don't know. They were invited during the issue. When that issue took place, it was an open thing, So if they did not go to present their reason and all of that, that's just their own cup of tea. But for now, that's where we're going to leave it. Please go to our comment section and let us interact. What's your position